Welcome YMCA members and guests. My name is Maribel and I am your virtual instructor for today's lesson. Thank you for choosing the YMCA of San Francisco as your place for community and learning. We are so glad you are here today. Today we will be learning about the water cycle. We will be creating a module of the water cycle as well as observing your own water cycle. So in order to start this lesson, there are some important vocabulary words that we should be familiar with before we commence. So the first one is the water cycle. The water cycle describes the continuous movement of water on, above, and below the Earth's surface. The second vocab word is atmosphere. Now, atmosphere is the blanket of gas that surrounds the Earth. Vocab word number 3 is observation, and this is the act of taking notice of something or someone. Vocab word number 4 is evaporation. Now, evaporation is when the sun heats up any body of water, like a lake, river, or ocean, and turns that water into vapor or steam. Vocab word number 5 is condensation. Now, this is when water vapor in the air gets cold and turns back into a liquid, forming clouds. Vocab word number 6, precipitation. Precipitation occurs when so much water has condensed that the air can no longer hold it. The clouds get heavy and the water falls back to the earth in the form of rain, hail, snow, or sleet. And finally, vocab word number 7 is collection. This is when water that falls back to earth as precipitation lands in either oceans, lakes, or rivers, or it ends up on land as a form of groundwater. To finally start our project, there are some materials we will be needing for this project. These are things that you can find easily at home. The first thing you will be needing is a Ziploc bag. The sandwich bags work good as well too. What we'll be needing will be permanent marker. Permanent markers don't smear, so they work best for this project. You'll also be needing some water. 2 to 3 cups works best for the size of bag we have. You will also need some tape. Now, these next 2 materials aren't necessary, but if you do have them, that's going to be great for this project. And that's going to be a spoon and some blue food dye. First step of this project is we will be drawing a water cycle on your sandwich bag. So you will need your sandwich bag and one of your permanent markers. Here, you're going to want to draw a nice big sun and some clouds on your bag. We're going to try to keep them on the top half of your bag. I'm going to go ahead and draw my sun first. And I'm going to go ahead and add a smiley face for decoration. Now I'm adding some nice fluffy clouds. So the next part is preparing our water. Now you have 2 to 3 cups of water and a cup to the side. And if you do have a spoon and some food dye in your home, this is where you would apply these materials to our project. So if you had food dye, you can go ahead and drop 2 to 3 droplets of food dye into your water. Then, taking your spoon, you're going to go ahead and mix it to make sure all the food dye is spread out. For this next step, you might need some adult assistance just to help you hold the bag and make sure you pour everything neatly into the bag. So, we are going to take our Ziploc bag and go ahead and open it. You're going to go ahead and take your cup of water, and if you have assistants, have them hold the bag for you while you pour the water inside. Going to take my cup and I'm going to pour the water mixture into my baggie. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and tightly seal my bag. Have somebody help you close it up, make sure that it's nice and sealed. For this next step, you're going to want to go ahead and search around your home and look for a well-lit window like this one. You're going to go ahead and take the tape that we had and you are going to use that to tape your bag to your window. Now, you might need an adult's help for this one to make sure that the bag doesn't fall down. I'm going to go ahead and add another piece of tape just to make sure my bag is nice and secure on the window. For this next part of the project, we will be covering one of the vocab words we learned earlier, which is observation. Now, if you remember, observation is the act of noticing something or someone. Yesterday, I created the same project just to show you guys what could happen to your bag in a day. Now, If you can see here, we are going to be making some observations. You can kind of see that there is a little bit of steam buildup here. It was a little warmer yesterday than it is today, which means that there was more sun hitting our back. You see some of the water here moving up into the air as water vapor. As it reaches our clouds up here, it begins to condense. So you kind of see it sticking to the bag a little bit more here. Also see some water droplets begin to fall down on our water bag, and that's going to be our precipitation. Those water droplets are going to be landing back into our body of water here. So depending on how much sunlight your window is getting will determine how fast your water cycle begins to actually work. So go ahead and give your bag maybe about an hour or two and come back later and make observations on it like we did to my bag. That concludes the project portion of our video. We will be doing a quick little review on the water cycle here. Remember in the beginning of the video, we learned a few vocab words. So we will be applying those vocab words to our water cycle here. One of the first words we learned about was atmosphere. Now the atmosphere, if you remember, is the blanket of air that covers the earth. Whereas here in our water cycle, the atmosphere is up high. So atmosphere will be up here. One of the other words we learned was evaporation. Evaporation was when the sun directly hits a body of water and the heat from the sun causes that water to become a vapor or steam and rise up. So evaporation is happening here. I'll go ahead and draw an arrow pointing up. After evaporation comes condensation. Now condensation is when that water vapor turns into liquid again and begins to form clouds. Is happening up here in the clouds. The next step of the water cycle is going to be precipitation. Precipitation happens when the water that is condensed up in the clouds becomes too heavy to remain up there, so it begins to fall down in the form of rain, snow, sleet, or hail. And the last step of the water cycle that we learned about was collection. Now collection is when the water that falls down as precipitation, it can either land in a body of water like the ocean, or it can land on land and become groundwater. So collection will be happening here. So those are the steps of the water cycle. So that concludes our water cycle in a bag project. Don't forget to continuously check up on your bag and make observations of their water cycle in work. Thank you for participating in our virtual lesson with the YMCA of San Francisco. If you do end up trying this activity, we'd love to see it on our social media. Just add a photo or video on your Instagram and use the hashtag @HomeWithYSF. We are also offering other fun lessons you can follow on our YouTube channel, so make sure to check those all out. Thank you for being part of our YMCA community, and we'll see you again soon.